Imagine this scenario. One day, AI creates 90% of global wealth. It writes the code, designs the products, runs the experiment, manages the companies, drives the cars. Humans are no longer the primary engine of production. So here's the question. What does civilization need us for? This isn't the old will AI take jobs debate. That's already happening. The real question is deeper. When humans stop being economically necessary, do we stop being politically necessary too? When the machine can run without us, do we still get a seat at the table? Or do we become optional? Right now, two narratives are running in parallel, two very different bets on how this plays out. The first story is techno-optimism. AI liberates us from labor. We gain time we never had before. Universal basic income becomes the default, not charity, but a dividend. You exist, therefore you deserve a share of what machines create. In this vision, humanity gets a second renaissance. We stop working for survival and start living for meaning. Science, art, philosophy, community, all the things the industry grind squeezed out. This sounds utopian, and maybe it is. But it's not a fantasy. AI productivity is growing exponentially. That's real. UBI pilot programs are being tested across multiple countries. That's real too. This is the first path. The second path is quieter. Some tech elites are buying remote land, building underground bunkers in New Zealand, investing in Mars colonization, reinforcing security systems, closed communities, seed banks, backup plans. They publicly discuss AI's potential and privately prepare for social disorder. They are building modern arks, not the biblical kind, but the billionaire vision, escape pods for when the social contract breaks. Maybe it's just a risk modeling, but here's the thing. When the richest people on earth start building separate infrastructure for systemic collapse, that's not just a hedge, it's a signal. They are not expecting smooth transition. They're expecting friction, possibly violent friction. And they are making sure they are not in the blast radius. So who decides which future we get? Renaissance or arc? Not governments, not voters, not even the market. The people who control compute. Every civilization that controls massive productive power builds mythology around it. In the industry age, the gods were capital and the states. In the information age, the gods were networks and platforms. In the intelligence age, the god is compute. When code creates wealth, servers become altars, data centers become temples. And people who control them, they become something like priests of a new religion, not because they're superhuman, but because the system gives them godlike power over production. I'm not saying they worship silicon literally. I'm saying they inherited the role religion used to play, deciding who deserves abundance and who doesn't. So when a handful of people can decide whether AI's wealth gets shared or hoarded, that's theology in secular clothing. Here's the question. When the means of production become hyper-concentrated, does the distribution system evolve at the same speed? Or do we end up with 22nd century production running on 18th century social contracts? Most people think the problem is AI safe enough? Will AI go rogue? But the deeper variable isn't the machine, it's us. Every time production technology leaps forward, society convulses. Agriculture to industry, feudalism to capitalism, swords to guns. Not because the technology was evil, but because identity structures got rewritten. If AI strips the professional class of their expert value overnight, the problem isn't unemployment, it's dignity. UBI can compensate for lost income, but it can't compensate for lost status. It gives you money, but it takes away the proof that you are a little better than the next person. The hardest thing to accept isn't poverty. It's the loss of distance. Imagine you spent years building expertise, got the degree, the certifications, climbed the ladder. Under UBI, you get the same basic income as someone who never did any of that. On paper, that's fair. But it feels like the system saying all that effort didn't matter. The ultra-wealthy barely affected. The poorest probably helped the most. The true unstable group, the middle. And that's most of us. We depend on the ladder. We depend on the linear relationship between effort and reward. UBI cuts that causal chain when hard work no longer determines survival. And that step is infinitely harder than writing better algorithms. So the question isn't, will they hide in bunkers? The question is, can humanity rebuild meaning without hierarchy anxiety? UBI can buffer income loss, but it can automatically reconstruct the dignity. If we can't handle being surpassed by machines, if we can't accept that survival no longer requires competition, then the anxiety won't disappear. We build better systems, but we're still running the same emotional software. That's where bunker logic comes from. Not because AI is the devil, but because humans have never smoothly completed a system upgrade. But if humanity can handle this psychological transformation, then we're looking at a civilizational leap. We might actually get an age of intellectual and artistic explosion. When time is no longer consumed by survival, creativity could become the mainstream activity, not a side hustle, not a hobby, the thing we actually do. If AI truly becomes this era's engine for creation, new myths will emerge. The future isn't random, it's a choice. Not your choice, not mine. The choice belongs to whoever controls the compute. On one side, they use AI's wealth to reconstruct the social contract, fund the Renaissance, share the dividend. On the other side, they let wealth concentrate, build walls, bought the ark. The dice are loaded, and they are holding them. But here's the twist. Even if they choose to find UBI, even if they share the wealth, that doesn't guarantee a renaissance. Because the real question was never, will they find it? The real question is, when survival no longer requires work, are humans ready for that much freedom? The revolution's core variable was never the code. It was always us.